Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrit Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayanti Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, Maharaj Nimi meets the 9 Yogendras, text number 28 onwards. So yesterday we studied how now Yogendras, they went to the sacrificial arena when Maharaj Nimi was performing sacrifice. And when Maharaj Nimi or Videha or actually his Janak also, from the same kingdom, Videha, Janak Maharaj, but he's not the father of Sita ji. In that kingdom, everybody was born after him, had the name Janak as a suffix. So he's Janak Maharaj also. So he welcomed and he offered obeisances to all the Navyogendras. And then he's asking questions for spiritual upliftment. Shri Videha Uvacha Manya Bhagavata Sakshat Parshadanvo Madhudvisa Vishnur Bhutani Lokanam Pavanaya Charantihi. King Videha said, I think that you must be direct associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is famous as the enemy of the demon Madhu Dusha. Indeed, the pure devotees of Lord Vishnu wander throughout the universe, not for their personal selfish interest, but to purify all the conditioned souls. So this is the purpose of the pure devotees of Lord Vishnu. They have nothing. They have no personal selfish interest in anything of this universe. They don't need it. All they want is to serve the Lord by purifying or by engaging the conditioned souls in the service of the Lord. King Nimi here welcomes the great sages by glorifying their transcendental activities. It is well known that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental to the three modes of material nature, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, his pure devotees are also on the transcendental platform. One may ask how such transcendental living beings as associates of Lord Vishnu could be seen within the material world. Therefore, it is stated here, Pavanaya Charantihi. The associates of Lord Vishnu travel throughout the universe to reclaim the fallen conditioned souls on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the only purpose, no other purpose. A representative of the governor may be seen moving within the prison house, but that does not mean that the governor's representative has become a conditioned prisoner. It is understood that he is within the prison to negotiate the possible release of those prisoners who have rectified their criminal propensity. Similarly, the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are called Parivrajakacharyas, wandered throughout the universe, inviting everyone to surrender to Lord Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead, for an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. So this is their only purpose. In the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the mercy of the associates of Lord Vishnu has been described in connection with the salvation of Ajamil. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that the associates of Lord Vishnu are as merciful as the Lord himself. Even though the ignorant members of human society are not interested in approaching the servants of Lord Vishnu, the devotees of the Lord, without any false prestige. But the devotees of the Lord, without any false prestige, act to liberate the conditioned souls from the perpetual misfortune. In fact, one place it is said that the Vaishnavas, the devotees of the Lord, They have nothing to gain in this material world. And they could leave this material world, go back to contact. But the only reason they stay here is to uplift, to purify the conditioned souls. Otherwise, who would do it? So out of their compassionate nature and out of their service attitude, service move towards the Lord, they stay in the material world to purify the conditioned souls, to give them a chance to be engaged in the service of the Lord, to rectify their impure consciousness, as it is said, impure, rectify their criminal propensity. That's the only reason they stay here. Durlabha manusho deho, dehinam kshana bhangura, tatrapi durlabha manye, vaikuntha priya darshanam. For the conditioned souls, the human body is most difficult to achieve, and it can be lost at any moment. But I think that even those who have achieved human life rarely gain the association of pure devotees who are dear to the Lord of Vaikuntha. So the human life, everywhere, every time we read this, we hear this, the human life is most difficult to achieve. And it can be lost at any moment. It's Kshana Bhangur, prone to be destroyed at any moment. Kamal dal jal jivan talamal. Bhajahu malam padaritire. Means Kamala dal jal, the human life, or any life actually, but human life basically, because only in human life we can understand this. Human life is what? The life is what? It's like a drop of water on the leaf of a lotus flower. Any moment it can just fall off the leaf. Any moment. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the word Dehina means Bhavo Deha Bhavanti Yesham. The conditioned souls who accept innumerable material bodies. According to some wishful thinkers, a living entity in the human form of life will never be degraded to a lower form, such as that of an animal or a plant. But that's not the law of nature. We can think whatever we want to think, but law of nature is it can go down. But despite this wishful thinking, it is a fact that according to our activities at the present, we will be elevated or degraded by the laws of God. At the present time in human society, there is no clear or precise understanding of the nature of life. Foolish scientists have invented highly sophisticated terminologies and theories to bluff innocent people into believing that life comes from chemical reactions. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has exposed this bluff in his book, Life Comes from Life, which points out that although scientists claim that life comes from chemicals, they cannot produce so much as an insect. Forget about an insect. Not even a blade of grass they can produce in the lab. So this is why this human form is so important, so rare and so important. We just face in mundane pursuits to make money, to develop this kind of theory or that kind of theory. What's the use? Ultimately, what's the use? And this is what Bhagavatam also says. Even if we dharma swanishtita punsa vishwaksena kathasuya na utpadya yadiratim shram eva hi kevalam. Dharma swanishtita means if we have engaged in our dharma, varnashram dharma, or whatever dharma we thought or think of, that I belong to this society, this community, this nationality, this faith, that, this, that, and we serve the whole life whatever we think we belong to. But if we didn't develop attachment, attraction for Krishna's pastimes, Krishna Katha, Krishna Nam, then what is it? Shram eva hi kevalam. Useless wastage of labor. And Shram eva. Eva means certainly, he means certainly, kevalam means certainly. So 3 times he says. So this is what human life should be used for. But we have so many engagements, so many mental concoctions that we just waste our time. Here in the last paragraph it is written, we have practical experience that in the Western countries, what about Western? Everywhere, all over the world, most people are working hard to get money, laboring under heavenly dreams of sense gratification. Others, having becoming frustrated with ordinary materialistic life, are trying to negate their personal existence and merge into the existence of God through so-called yoga and meditation. Both classes of unhappy people are receiving the mercy of the Krishna consciousness movement, putting aside their dreams of sense gratification as well as their troublesome impersonal speculation. They're learning to chant the holy names of God, dance in ecstasy, and feast on the holy food offered to the Lord. They become enlivened by the transcendental knowledge spoken by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. But still, we have a long way to go to preach all over so that everybody can take up this process. Atyantikam khem. No, so something is missing. Satya ashwagha revat atyantikam kshemam prichamo bhavato anaga sansare asmin kshanardho api satsanga shevadhir nirnamavad hari nirnam. Therefore, O completely sinless ones, I ask you to kindly tell me what the supreme good is. After all, even half a moment's association with pure devotees within this world of birth and death is a priceless treasure for any man. So that is a priceless treasure, but how many of us want to take this association? And here Maharaj Nimi is saying, even half a moment, although earlier place it is just a moment. But here he is saying even half a moment's association is good enough. The word Sevadhi, or a great treasure, is significant in this verse. Just as an ordinary man is overjoyed to discover an unexpected treasure, one who is actually intelligent is overjoyed to gain the association of a pure devotee of the Lord, by which one's life can easily be perfected. So one who is actually intelligent, the word dhi has come. Dhi means one who has some intelligence. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the words Atyantikam Kshemam, or the supreme good, indicate that situation in which one cannot be touched even by the slightest fear. Supreme good indicate that situation in which one cannot be touched even by the slightest fear. Now we are entangled in the cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death, because our entire situation can be devastated in a single moment. We are constantly in fear. But the pure devotees of the Lord can teach us the practical way to free ourselves from material existence and thus to abolish all types of fear. So everybody lives in the fear. What is a real fear? Everybody lives in is fear of losing life, fear of death. But those who have some knowledge, some intelligence, they are fearful of going into the lower species of life. So this fear is there because there is uncertainty. What will happen after death? And we are so attached to everything that we have. We are afraid of losing it, leaving it. And then we think, oh, I don't know what's going to happen to. I have worked so hard to gather everything. Now I don't know what will happen to things I have collected. So this fear of death is so strong. Even somebody gets sick, he goes to doctor, oh, I'll give you all my money, just let me live for a few more years. But the death comes, it comes. That's it. You cannot do anything. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, normal etiquette would dictate that a host immediately ask a guest who has arrived about his well-being. But such an inquiry is unsuitable to place before self-satisfied devotees of the Lord. So the self-satisfied devotees are always fine. But common etiquette is one should ask them. So the king knew that it would be useless to ask the sages about their business affairs, since the only business of the pure devotees of the Lord is the achievement of the supreme goal of life. According to Bhagavad Gita, the goal of life is to free oneself from the cycle of birth and death and reinstate oneself as the eternal servant of God on the platform of spiritual bliss. Pure devotees of the Lord do not waste their time with ordinary mundane affairs. Sometimes foolish relatives of a Vaishnava preacher lament that such a transcendental preacher has not used his life for material business, and that so much money has therefore been lost by the practice of spiritual life. Such ignorant persons cannot imagine the unlimited prosperity available on the spiritual platform to those who have surrendered heart and soul to the mission of the Lord. King Nimi was himself a learned Vaishnava, and therefore he did not foolishly ask the sages about ordinary worldly affairs. He immediately inquired about Atyantikam Kshemam, the highest, most perfect goal of life. So, highest goal, he is asking, what is it? According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the word anagha or sinless ones has two meanings. Anagha indicates that the 9 yogendras were themselves completely free of sins. It also indicates that merely by the good fortune of seeing them and hearing from them submissively, an ordinary sinful man could also be freed of his sins and achieve everything he desired. So this is the power of pure devotees of the Lord. And these Yogendras, they arrived at that place without being invited. They just knew there's a wonderful sacrifice going on. And as it is written, they did not wear anything. And the bodies were completely effulgent, so effulgent that anybody would understand they are very, very spiritually advanced people. And as it is said that they would go all over the universe, they can go anywhere and preach. So they still must be doing that. The only thing is we don't have eyes to see them. One might object that since the great sages had just arrived, the king should not have been so impatient as to inquire from them about the perfection of life. Perhaps the king should have waited until the sages themselves invited his inquiry. Such a hypothetical objection is answered by the word shanardho api. Even a single moment's association with pure devotees, or even a half a moment's association, is sufficient to give one the perfection of life. An ordinary person who is offered a great treasure will immediately desire to claim such a treasure. Similarly, King Nemi was thinking, why should I consider myself fortunate enough to have such great sages here for a long time? Because I am an ordinary person, undoubtedly you will soon be leaving. Therefore, let me immediately take advantage of your holy association. So this greed, intense greed in the heart of a devotee to achieve Krishna, to achieve devotion service, to get the mercy of such great sages. This is what makes them very dear to Krishna, and this is what is a price to pay to make spiritual progress. This is the only price, the greed. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in this world there are different varieties of mercy. Just a second. But ordinary mercy cannot bring about the cessation of all unhappiness. So ordinary mercy cannot do that. It's a special mercy we need to get. In other words, there are many humanitarians, altruists, and social reformers who certainly work for the betterment of humanity. Such persons are universally considered merciful. But in spite of their mercy, humanity continues to suffer in the grip of birth, old age, disease, and death. I may distribute free food to the needy, but even after eating my merciful gift, the recipient will again become hungry or he will suffer in some other way. In other words, by mere humanitarianism or altruism means just taking care of the society in every way possible. People do not actually become free from unhappiness. Their unhappiness is merely postponed or altered. King Nimi was joyful upon seeing the Navyogendras because he knew that they were eternally perfect associates of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he thought, you're not prone to sinful activities like unfortunate, mundane people such as me. Thus, the words you speak carry no deception or exploitation. So you are the real well-wishers of the whole world, actually. This is the beauty of Bhagavatam or Sanatan Dharma or Vedic Dharma. Here it doesn't talk about, okay, just for this community or just for human beings, just for the people of India. It talks about all living entities all over the universe. Because the Bhagavad Dharma, the instruction that the Navayogendras will give to Maharaj Nimi, that's called Bhagavad Dharma. So that is for everybody. Every soul has a relationship with Krishna. Our bodies today, for this lifetime, could be different. Like we could be following some other faith, or this faith, or that faith. But that's a temporary situation. Eternal, permanent situation or connection is of the soul with Krishna. So Bhagavad Dharma is for everybody, just like Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna talks about, okay, you dehinu asmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tatha deham prapte dhira satranam muyati. Now dehinu asmin yatha dehe, the one who is within the deha, the soul, it does not change, but the body goes on this day changes. Komaram yovanam jara. Is this only for Hindus? It's for everybody. Not just for human beings, it's for everybody. So that's why these scriptures, this knowledge is for everybody. This is the beauty of Vedic literature. It's just we have to adopt it, we have to implement it in our lives, and then we have to preach to others. The materially conditioned souls spend their days and nights discussing various topics of sense gratification. They never find time to hear about transcendental knowledge. But if even one only briefly or accidentally they hear Hari Katha, topics of Krishna in the association of pure devotees of the Lord, Their propensity to suffer in material existence will slacken. Their propensity to suffer. So we have propensity to suffer. We think we are enjoying, but we are suffering in this material existence. When one sees liberated persons, hears about Krishna from them, remembers their saintly behavior and so on, one's tendency to bind himself in the illusion of sense gratification is diminished, and he becomes eager to serve the Supreme Lord. So this is the power of pure devotees. Kshanardho api. Have a moment. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shasake, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Lava Matra, 14th of a second. That is good enough to change, to transform somebody's heart. And this is the power of pure devotees, and this is what King Nimi is asking for. And he's going to ask wonderful questions, and all the Nav Yogendras, they're going to give wonderful answers, and that is Bhagavad Dharma, the real Dharma. So we'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.